I'm going to walk you through what we can do with this latest update. We can create grids of pins around any business. There is nothing additional for us to configure on the front end. Like we have the rings and then the radius, and Staxio will create the grids on the same area as the rings. So if we configure a radius of 500 meters with 5 rings, circles, okay, Staxio will create the grids on that same exact area, and we're going to see a few examples in a little bit. I started by doing a small number of rings, which is 5, okay? And I'm going to import those rings into MyMaps so we can see what is happening. Let me open, So this is the first build I created, and Staxio now creates files for rings and the grids, okay? I'm going to import the grid into a MyMap. And well, let me first download the grid, transfer, done. Okay, I'm going to import this file. Okay, here is my grid. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, right? That's my grid. So if I, for example, wanted also to import, just so you guys see what I'm talking about when talked about the area, I'm going to transfer the rings. Also, I'm going to import the rings into another layer. And this is how you import multiple files, okay, into your MyMap. You can, well, we can create different MyMaps actually, but we'll get to that probably on later in this video or maybe another video. I don't know. Let's just create another layer and then import the rings. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. So now they're overlapping, right? So they're on top of each other. So that's our grid here, the new feature we just added to the maps pillar of Staxio, and then the grid. So I can actually, enable and disable any layer I want to, just to get, like, for example, if I wanted to just look at the rings, I enabled the layer of the rings here. And if I just wanted to look at the grid, I just enabled the layer of the grid. Let's enable them both. Okay, so it's a small, so I did 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rings. Okay, so that was my configuration for this build, 5 rings and 500 meter radius. And this is the result, okay? A grid and the rings, right? So then after this, I did a bigger one where I configured the maps with 20 rings, okay? And this is another folder that I've already built to show you guys. And what I'm going to do is just so you guys understand what the dimension of the different settings that you can configure on the builder, how those will look in your maps. So I'm going to delete both these layers. Okay, and now I'm going to download the files. So notice something here, guys, which is we have additional files when compared to this small. So this was 5 rings. This was 20 rings build. Okay, so we have more files. Why? Because there's a limitation on the size of these files that MyMaps can import. It's a 5 megabyte limitation. And when you start using articles, for example, and keywords, which I didn't use in this build, that's fine. I didn't use any keywords and I didn't use any articles, but the moment you start using these, filling out this data, these files will be getting bigger and bigger, and it will easily reach depending on the size of the article and the number of keywords, will easily reach the 5 megabyte limitation. And to avoid that, Staxio is splitting these files into smaller ones, okay, smaller chunks of batches of rings. And in this case, it's 10. We'll probably need to adjust that to maybe 5, because I've noticed that some people are already bumping into this limitation and having to adjust the size of the article and the number of rings. But if we split this down into maybe 5, then we'll probably not hit that limit so fast. So that's something we'll probably do in another update for Staxio. But so I want you guys to understand why we have additional files here. It's because of this limitation on the size of the file itself. So I'm going to download all these files. Let me see if I can select all of these and can I transfer multiple files? I hope so. 5. Compressing. All right, that's not exactly what I wanted to do, but that's all right. No problem. Okay, not all right. I have to do this one by one. No problem, Google. No problemo. I'm gonna transfer them all. Just give me a second. So let me start by doing. Okay, let's do the grids right away. Right, that's what you guys are interested in. So grid number 1, I'm going to do grid number 1. All right, you guys notice that this is a much bigger grid than the initial build of 5, because we configured a larger number of rings, right? So this is the first file. I'm going to import the second grid file in a minute, but I just want you guys to understand how big these grids can get. This is a big, so 500 meters. This is already covering like several kilometer area. Probably, I don't know, 50 kilometers. I don't do the math. But now I'm going to create another layer because it's going to get a lot bigger. And I'm going to import the second grid. All right. Okay. Okay, this is a lot, right? So if this is what you want to do, please go ahead. But see how big this thing can get. All right. So and let's take a look at something interesting, because they're not overlapping. Okay. What do I mean? I mean that let me disable them both and then enable the bigger one, which I think is this one here. Right. So you see, there's like a square in the middle, because there's the first one, which is this one that we created, the smaller, and then all the other pins are created around the first layer here. You see? Okay, so this is how we are able to create these huge grids of pins on MyMaps. Just something interesting that I wanted you guys to understand what's happening. And what else? Okay, so let's say that now I also wanted to import the rings, right? So I'm gonna add 2 more layers to import the rings. So it's gonna get crazy, a little bit crazy in the number of pins. All right, rings part 1. Okay, I'm gonna import the first file of rings, which covers, I think, the same area as exactly this bigger grid, well, smaller grid. So now they're like the pins are on top of each other, and I'm going to import the second file of rings, the larger one. Oof. Okay, so let me just enable just the rings. And I'm going to enable everything in the grids on top of everything. So I don't know how many pins we have here. It's a ridiculous amount of pins, but probably in the thousands. So these are like citations of the business. What do you guys think about this? Let us know. Participate, please, on the mastermind. Please suggest any other features or ways that we can leverage these pins and how we can power up all this information and rank higher with our GMBs. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.